AITA for taking my co-worker's lunch without permission. I, 27F, found myself in a moral quandary after taking my co-worker's lunch without permission. Let's call my co-worker Sarah, 29F. We work in the same office, and our desks are situated close to each other. Sarah and I have always been friendly, but we're not particularly close. One day, I forgot to bring my lunch to work and was feeling quite hungry by midday. As I rummaged through the office fridge in search of a quick snack, I noticed that Sarah had brought a delicious-looking sandwich. Without thinking much about it, I decided to take her sandwich and eat it, thinking she wouldn't mind since it was just one meal. However, when Sarah returned to her desk and realized her lunch was missing, she became visibly upset and started asking around if anyone had seen her sandwich. Feeling guilty but not wanting to admit my mistake, I stayed silent and pretended I hadn't noticed anything. Later that day, Sarah approached me and asked if I had seen her lunch, explaining that it had gone missing from the fridge. Caught off guard, I denied knowing anything about it and brushed off her concerns, claiming I hadn't seen anything unusual. However, Sarah didn't seem convinced by my response and continued to express her frustration over her missing lunch. The guilt gnawed at me as I watched her search for her lunch fruitlessly, knowing that I was the one responsible for taking it. As the days went by, Sarah's frustration only grew, and she became increasingly suspicious of her co-workers. Meanwhile, I struggled with my guilt, torn between coming clean and facing the consequences or continuing to keep quiet and pretend nothing happened. Eventually, the guilt became too much to bear, and I decided to confess to Sarah about taking her lunch without permission. I apologized profusely, explaining that I had been hungry and made a thoughtless decision in the moment. Sarah was understandably hurt and upset by my actions. She accused me of violating her trust and disrespecting her personal property. She also expressed disappointment that I hadn't owned up to my mistake earlier, as it would have saved her a lot of frustration and anxiety. Feeling remorseful for my actions and the pain I had caused Sarah, I offered to buy her lunch as a way to make amends. However, the damage had already been done, and our relationship became strained as a result of my dishonesty and theft. Now, I'm left questioning whether I made the right choice by taking my co-worker's lunch without permission. AITA for my actions, or was it justified given my hunger and forgetfulness?
Let's get to the comments.
You were definitely in the wrong here. Taking someone else's lunch without permission is a violation of their trust and personal property. Even if you were hungry and forgetful, it's not an excuse to disregard someone else's belongings. Your actions caused your co-worker unnecessary stress and frustration, and it's understandable that she felt hurt and upset by what you did. While it's commendable that you eventually confessed and apologized to Sarah, it would have been better if you had owned up to your mistake earlier. By denying any knowledge of her missing lunch, you only prolonged her distress and made the situation worse. In the future, it's important to respect other people's belongings and boundaries, even if you're in a moment of need. If you find yourself in a similar situation again, it's best to ask for permission or find an alternative solution rather than taking something without consent. Ultimately, your hunger and forgetfulness don't justify your actions, and it's important to take responsibility for your mistakes.
Next comment.
You're definitely the asshole in this situation. Taking your co-worker's lunch without permission was disrespectful and violated her trust. You had other options, such as buying your own lunch or asking if someone had a snack to spare. Your hunger doesn't justify stealing someone else's food, and your forgetfulness doesn't excuse your actions either. You should have owned up to your mistake when Sarah confronted you instead of continuing to lie. Your dishonesty only made the situation worse and caused unnecessary stress for Sarah. It's good that you eventually confessed and apologized, but the damage to your relationship was already done. In the future, make sure to respect other people's belongings and be honest when you make a mistake.
Next story.
AITA for losing my cool at the customer service representative. I, 34 meters, found myself in a frustrating situation while trying to resolve an issue with my internet service provider. Let's call them Zai's Internet. I had been experiencing frequent outages and slow speeds with my internet connection for weeks, despite multiple calls to Zai's Internet's customer service. Feeling exasperated by the ongoing problems, I called Zeiss Internet once again to seek assistance. After navigating through a series of automated menus and waiting on hold for what felt like an eternity, I finally reached a customer service representative. Let's call her Lisa. I explained my issue to Lisa and expressed my frustration with the ongoing problems with my internet connection. However, instead of offering assistance or attempting to resolve the issue, Lisa seemed dismissive and uninterested in helping me. She repeatedly told me to restart my router and insisted that there was nothing more she could do. Feeling increasingly frustrated by Lisa's lack of empathy and unwillingness to address my concerns, I began to lose my cool. I raised my voice and expressed my dissatisfaction with the poor quality of service provided by Zeiss Internet. I demanded to speak to a supervisor and threatened to cancel my subscription if the issue wasn't resolved promptly. Lisa became defensive and accused me of being rude and aggressive. She warned me that yelling wouldn't solve anything and that I needed to remain calm if I wanted help. However, her dismissive attitude only fueled my anger further, and I continued to express my frustration with the situation. Eventually, Lisa transferred me to a supervisor who was more understanding and willing to assist me with resolving the issue. However, the damage had already been done, and I couldn't shake off the feeling of guilt for losing my cool at Lisa. Reflecting on the situation afterward, I wondered if I had been too harsh on Lisa and if there had been a better way to handle the situation. While I was justified in feeling frustrated by the ongoing problems with my internet service, I questioned whether my outburst was warranted or if I could have remained calmer and more composed. Now, I'm left questioning whether I was the asshole for losing my cool at the customer service representative or if my frustration was justified given the circumstances.
Let's get to the comments.
In this situation, it's understandable to feel frustrated by ongoing issues with your internet service, especially after multiple attempts to resolve the problem. However, losing your cool and raising your voice at the customer service representative, Lisa, may not have been the most productive or appropriate way to handle the situation. While it's natural to express your dissatisfaction, being rude or aggressive towards customer service representatives is generally not acceptable behavior. Lisa was simply doing her job and following the company's protocol, even if her response was not satisfactory to you. Threatening to cancel your subscription and demanding to speak to a supervisor may have been more effective ways to escalate the issue without resorting to anger or aggression. Additionally, maintaining a calm and composed demeanor could have helped you convey your concerns more effectively and may have led to a quicker resolution of the problem. In the end, while your frustration with the situation was understandable, your behavior towards Lisa may have been excessive. Reflecting on the incident and considering alternative approaches to addressing the issue with Zeiss Internet's customer service may help prevent similar conflicts in the future. Therefore, in this scenario, you may be considered the asshole for losing your cool at the customer service representative.
Next comment.
In this situation, it's understandable that you are frustrated by the ongoing issues with your internet service and the dismissive attitude of the customer service representative, Lisa. However, losing your cool and raising your voice may not have been the most effective way to handle the situation. While it's important to advocate for yourself and express your dissatisfaction with the service you're receiving, resorting to aggression and rudeness can escalate the situation and make it more difficult to resolve the problem. Lisa was just doing her job, and she may have been limited in what she could do to help you. In the future, it might be more productive to remain calm and assertive when dealing with customer service representatives. Clearly communicate your concerns and request to speak to a supervisor if you feel that your issue isn't being addressed adequately. This approach is more likely to lead to a positive resolution without damaging your relationship with the company or causing unnecessary stress for the customer service representative. Overall, while your frustration with the situation was justified, losing your cool may have crossed a line. It's important to reflect on how you handle similar situations in the future to ensure that you're advocating for yourself effectively while also treating others with respect.